All right, Liza. Well, Ike is away on the Gabbler 500 this weekend. He is likely dead by now in that wrecked series car that he and Linus fielded over the weekend. So, if not dead by crash, dead by tetanus, I imagine. The
Or
worst case of death.
sunburn or mosquitoes
Something.
or God only
Engine
knows what
burn.
else.
Yeah, who knows, right? Yeah, an out of control Mountain Dew fire. Anything is possible.
Food poisoning at camp. It could be all sorts of things.
Very likely any of those things. So anyways, so it's you and I today. I am freshly back from a trip to Australia, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And
welcome home.
Yeah, and you are madly prepping for the big Rebelle Rally, which we'll also talk about. But we would be remiss if not to talk about some big Land Rover news that is no surprise to anyone. A Dodge Durango Hellcat raced a V8 Defender 110, and to no one's surprise, the Dodge won. Very
shocking.
Easily. Yeah,
shocking.
Was purple, which I appreciate, a flat purple Dodge Durango. I think that actually made it go a little bit faster.
I think there are a subset of people out there who love to point to that and be like, see, Land Rovers aren't very fast. To which I say, did anybody in the history ever say that Land Rovers were fast? Like,
yeah, I don't know where that
has that ever been a notion that somebody actually thought?
Yeah, I think it, in no measure of a Land Rover versus a modern car, I think is the Land Rover ahead. I think it's more of like a series of compromises that come out to be a net gain in any one area if measured against something else. There's no way the Land Rover is going to come out ahead. It's more like on the cumulative that you get like a reasonable in many categories, and therefore overall, I think it's a better.
I do think it's worth noting for your listeners, in case I haven't picked up on your form of sarcasm, let me just, enlighten people that though you may trash talk the Land Rover brand from time to time, it is done with so much love and respect and admiration. As I think most of the Land Rover community, we are not pretending that the vehicle is perfect in every way. We love it with its imperfections and all.
That's exactly right. Just like Ike. A very, very similar reverence for that. So speaking of Her Majesty's Rebelle Rally, how goes the prep? How is things on the road to Rebel?
To Rebelle.
Yeah, I can't say it properly.
It's okay. It's okay. I correct you all the time. It's going. I think it will be long after we've run maybe even our fifth Rebelle before we'll actually say, you know what, I actually feel prepared and ready to go. I think there's a lot that we're trying to do. Putting together sponsorship packages right now to try to get some sponsors for, some cash and some in-kind donations to make sure that this is a sustainable thing that we can do year after year. And trying to practice plotting, and which, in theory, the plotting part is not that hard. You can give me a map and a list of GPS coordinates, and I'm getting pretty good at finding those on a map. The part that intimidates me the most is then map, get in car, drive to point that you plotted, and actually get within proximity. And so that's where I'm starting to sweat a little bit and trying to find opportunities where we can go out and practice together. Even if it's, you and I practicing down here in California and Jenna and Ike practicing in Oregon and then coming together. So, that's the part that right now, I'm feeling like we're a bit behind on. And some of that will come with time. We're going to meet up at Overland Expo Pacific Northwest next month in Oregon, and hoping to, get some time together behind a wheel, even if it's not in the truck that we're going to run for the Rebelle, because we're going to leave that here. But yeah, things are going good. I think I will continue to feel unprepared and behind the eight ball for quite some time. But really, I think we're further ahead than I give myself credit for.
I think Jenna and Ike are practicing by, Ike, asking for a particular carburetor and then Jenna having to find it in the workshop somewhere, which
With a
is,
compass.
with a
With a
compass.
compass.
Yeah, which
Yes.
is it's sort of, it's an
Yeah.
alternative, training, technique, but we'll see, it's just, I feel like it's like, it's like Rocky, training in, Siberia when, meanwhile, the other guy is on all the high-tech machines, and
Right.
everything, and Rocky is just like punching a rock. So,
Right.
that's
Just,
alright.
down and dirty with the bare bones.
That's right. In the end, he beat Dolph Lundgren, so I think, that's, we'll
So
go
you're
find,
saying I will beat Dolph Lundgren on the Rebelle.
on the Rebelle Rally. I think it's
Yeah.
a guarantee that you will place higher than Dolph Lundgren on
Okay.
the Rebelle
I'll
Rally.
take it.
I'm
I'll
willing to
take
I'm
it.
willing to put money on that now.
I'll
If
take it.
anybody's willing to take the counter to that, happy to discuss terms, but, I'm pretty confident. I'm feeling pretty good
I will
about it.
say that I'm part of a bunch of like Facebook groups for, the unofficial prepping group and now the official competitors group. And
Mm.
I'm having conversations with other competitors whom I have watched do the Rebelle through their online show and things like that. And like, I'm fangirling a little bit, like, oh my
Mhm.
God, Emmy Hall just responded. She left a comment on my post. Oh my God. Some other folks that I know from social media and I know
Mhm.
from
Mhm.
watching the Rebelle are suddenly friending me on Facebook, and I feel super popular and it feels really great.
I am a big Emmy Hall fan. I think she's amazing, and she's a big fan of the Green Oval. Herself has done the Rebelle in a, classic Defender a long time ago, and did some great stuff on CNET. When CNET used to have their motoring programs, she was a correspondent for that, and was always a ton of fun
Mhm.
to listen to. She's got great
She's a
energy, and
badass. I'm very
yeah,
much looking forward to meeting her, getting to know her. I There's another team that is running a 110 Defender.
yes,
For our listeners, in case they're not aware, they're Team Rover Landing. You should go find them on Instagram and like them. And they have a GoFundMe set up and help support a fellow classic Land Rover that is going to run the Rebelle. So we're going to have the 90 and they're going to have the 110. And I think it's going to be a great story. And I've chatted with them a couple times online. They seem really, really great. And I think it's going to be so awesome to have our vehicles side by side.
we're actively looking for a team to run a classic 130. So you have
Line
to
them all up, but
complete
it
the
has
set.
to be white. It has
It has
to
to be
be
a white
white.
130. Yeah, so we'll
Yeah.
complete the set
So if you have
of
a
all.
green 130, you'll have to
Sorry,
repaint it. Yeah.
you'll wrap it white. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
That's certainly the perfect vehicle to run an
Oh.
off-road rally in.
I mean,
And
great if you
yeah,
have to sleep in it overnight,
yeah,
but
yeah.
because we're
But you
definitely
can
not
put,
sleeping in the 90.
50-gallon drums of fuel in the back of the 130 in order to propel the 130 through
Sure.
the race. It'd be great. Think about how many max tracks you can fit back there. You know,
You will need every single one
a
of them.
school bus. You just lay max tracks like a railroad and
Mhm.
just head across the desert. It'll be
Emily
great.
Miller, who founded the Rebelle, told us this amazing story over dinner one night where one of the years they were out in a salt flat and the big semi trailer carrying all of base camp got stuck in the salt flat and they had to get every single max track that the whole support team had and build a runway to
Yep.
get this like giant trailer out of the salt flat, and they just kept laying them one in front of another, and they had to get an 18-wheeler unstuck using max tracks.
It's a little known fact, but they used max tracks to build the pyramids. That's actually how they
Makes
built the
perfect
pyramids.
sense.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
a rudimentary max track.
Yeah.
That's but yeah, helpful. I mean, look at Camel Trophy. I mean, they would build little railroads through the Amazon out of that landing mat, which was the sort of precursor to the max track. And I still prefer
It
aluminum
has
landing mats,
crossed my
but
mind on a number of occasions how awesome it would be to run our Camel Trophy Discovery for the Rebelle if we weren't so worried about like keeping it
yeah,
authentic
it's
and
true.
pristine.
It's true. Well,
I drive the
I
shit
would
out of
say
that at
I
the
would say
Rebelle.
preserved. I don't think there's anything about it that you would
Yeah, okay.
describe as pristine.
Good choice of
Um,
words.
but I think the most difficult thing would be convincing them to let Camel Cigarettes sponsor you. I
Right,
think that
right.
would be the
Yeah, I
you
don't
know
think that would fly.
But I don't know. I think Camel would be down to sponsor. They've, they don't have a lot of place to park money these days. So, it's just you and Jenna would have to start smoking like a ton. But it
Great.
might be worth it. Might be worth it.
Great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. You come back sounding like the Golden Girls. It'll be
Yeah.
amazing. Probably
Yeah.
looking like the Golden Girls too, smoking nonstop for 18 days. Anyway, so on that, you have apparently, and this is news to me as of this morning, prepared some hard hitting questions, not quite lightning round questions, but in
No.
the, I guess we've got some feedback from listeners that, Ike and I rarely do any lightning round or difficult questions at all. In fact, we are, in most cases, the inquisitors with with no reciprocation of that. So you have apparently come up with some things in that thread.
Yeah, well, I was I for those who don't know, I do a lot of our social media behind the scenes. So usually if
And
you're
by
a
a lot,
listener,
it's 100% of our social media
so if
I've
you're a
been doing.
listener
Yeah.
these days and you're messaging in, you're usually getting me first and then I grab Stephen into the conversation when you ask me a question that is too technical for my skill set. Then I get Stephen involved to give you like an actual correct answer. But the niceties, that's all me. And so sometimes we get questions, that are specific to the collection or specific to our history or things like that. And it occurred to me that maybe listeners want to know a little bit more about you guys. And you guys always ask this question. So this is where I'll
Mhm.
start. You always ask the question of your guests: why Land Rover? What is it about the brand that made you go, yes, this is what I want to be passionate about? Why the green oval for you?
Of all the brands in the world, to choose,
Yeah.
why this one? Yeah, no, that's a great question, and, I mean, really, it started with, I think the first Land Rover that we as a family ever owned was one of the first Land Rover discoveries, that came into Canada in, 1994 when they launched that car, for the Canadian market. It was a little, I think a year later than they did in the United States, and it was something where my parents actually had ordered a Tahoe of all of the things in the world. What a world it would have been if we would have gotten a Tahoe. And that car arrived at the dealership and then was keyed like by a disgruntled employee of the dealership or something.
Oh,
And,
really?
for those of you who have met my father, there was no way that he was going to buy a repainted brand new car.
Not
Like
a
that was
chance.
never in a million years. And
Not a
like,
chance.
for whatever reason, we needed a car right away. I don't entirely remember why. But anyway, so the conversation came up. A very good friend and a colleague of my father's and my dad's former assistant, and now one of the lawyers that works with him and a very good family friend, longstanding family friend, Jeff Marr, had a Defender, had my Defender, and he had said, "Well, you really should go and check out the Discovery. It's a family car. It's sort of somewhere between a sort of multifamily SUV and the Defender, which is much more off-roady. And because we live in Canmore, which is up in the mountains, and it snows like insane crazy, and there is many days where certainly back then the roads up there were almost impassable with snow and things. We needed something with low range. We needed something with full-time four-wheel drive, and that we could put slightly better snow tires on. So we went and we looked at this Discovery, and I'd been aware of Land Rovers, of course, because of Wild Kingdom and things like that. I was a big fan of all the National Geographic stuff growing up. So series Land Rovers, I was certainly very aware of. But yeah, after owning the first Discovery and then subsequently buying my Defender, we were locked in for sure. About 6 months to a year after buying the Discovery, I bought a Stage 1 V8, a blue one that used to be AA yellow, and it was repainted blue. And not a goddamn thing on that car worked. It didn't have first gear at all. So you had to sort of like start in second gear with like a lot of revs to kind of get her going. And it would break down nearly every time I took it out. And, unfortunately, that car met its end being broken up for parts. I sold it to a gentleman who then broke it, which is real shame, because I would have loved to. Now, of course, I have the facilities and the means and everything to restore something like that. But yeah, it really started with that, with that silly discovery, and then subsequently that motor blew up. The block cracked because of an overheating issue. They traded it in and got a Discovery 2 because they got a great deal on the Discovery 2 because the first one exploded, and then that one exploded,
And then that one
and
exploded. So I
in a very
remember
similar way. In a very similar way. Yeah.
So to give you an idea of how long you and I have been together, I remember the Discovery one. You would
Hmm.
sometimes drive it when we would go
Hmm.
on our first dates, early
Hmm.
dates.
Hmm.
If we weren't in the Defender, you would borrow your mom's Discovery.
Hmm.
And we went camping in the
Yeah.
D1 once, and
Yeah.
then I remember camping in the Discovery 2.
Hmm.
Um yeah, I
Yeah.
remember those vehicles. I
They were
don't
great
remember the
cars.
stage one as much,
No.
but I did think to ask you these questions because I dug up this amazing photo that I will
Oh, we'll have to
post to
put that on
Instagram this
Instagram. Yeah.
week.
Yeah, we'll have to put
And
that on
that
Instagram.
was the blue stage one with the white
Yeah.
roof.
That's right. That's my good friend Matt Ford, who he and I were in the midst of restoring, sort of heavy air quotes on restoring that car. At least, we did some stuff on the interior stuff, made it a little more drivable, but ultimately, it had really low compression. There was a couple of cylinders that had a lot of blow by on it, so it was pretty hard to drive. And as anyone who knows, who owns a stage one, we do, they are tough to get parts for. The motor's not so bad, but that had really bad front leaky swivel balls. And as anybody knows, those are 100% unique to the stage one and the very, very early Land Rovers, the 110 and the 90, and really just the 110. And this was before our good friends at Design Engineering in the UK that make brand new ones for me.
Mm,
So, nowadays there are a lot of remanufacture, or a lot of new parts for the stage one, because there's quite of an enthusiast community around them. Back then, remember, this was the late 90s. Back then there was nothing available for those cars.
sure.
So yeah, and
Sure.
then I subsequently
So
had a mhm.
would you consider the stage one, that blue stage one, is that the car that got away?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I've tried to find it, and it's been, unfortunately, it's gone. I know all of the chassis numbers and everything for it, and I know the gentleman who sold it, and kind of know who he sold it to. It got sold into a gentleman in Seattle, and from there it was broken apart and sold up as bits, unfortunately. So part of it might be around somewhere, but not in its original configuration. So we have our green stage one now, which is you sort of close your eyes inside of it, and it smells the same. It shifts just as terribly, and everything else. But obviously now we have the means to keep it running, and it's in tip top shape, except that the forklift rolled into it the other day. So besides that, got a little bit of
I don't even want to
pulling.
talk about it.
Yeah. You got to pull some dents out of the rear cross member now, but that's what happens when your forklift, the e-brake on the forklift doesn't work the way it should. But besides that, it's a great car, super fun to drive, and runs super well. But yeah, that was the canonical Land Rover for me. But really, for the whole getting the thing started, it was really the Discovery, and equal to the Discovery was Camel Trophy, and being interested in Camel Trophy. And I've said this a lot, that you wanted to be an astronaut, go to
Hmm.
become a fighter pilot in the Canadian military, which is the only way to do it, and then go and fly shuttles, which wasn't really possible for me. I just wanted to drive in the Camel Trophy, and Canada didn't sell Camel cigarettes, so it was never an option for me. And then the Camel Trophy kind of obviously came to an end before I moved to the United States, and
Hmm.
so it wasn't really ever something for me. So owning a Camel Trophy truck now is a little bit like you owning a shuttle. I'm not going to take it into space, obviously, but the real people, Bob Ives and all those folks. In my case, it was a support vehicle in '93. So those folks have been in the car, and they have, they've driven it, and it really went to Malaysia. It spent, 10 years in France with the team there as a training vehicle. And so it's the real deal. It's just like having a shuttle, and for us, that's pretty cool.
That's awesome. I mean, I ask you these questions. Of course, I know these answers, but I'm thinking about this from the perspective of our listeners who seem to want to get to know you and Ike a little bit better. So
God knows why.
we're gonna
God
have
knows
to
why.
ask Ike some of these same questions, and find out what it was that originally, brought him to the brand, just like you. I like to think though that you are a tenacious human being. For those that don't know, once you really put your heart into something, you don't let go easily. And there were certainly times early in our careers and early in our marriage where I definitely, the thought in the back of my head is that these things were more of a wallet drain than they were worth,
And they
which
still
might
are.
still be
To be fair,
true.
that's totally true.
Frankly,
Yeah, that's 100%
that's
true. It's
probably still
100%
true.
true. Yeah.
But I like to think that now, unfortunately, after 15 years of marriage and being together for 23 some odd years, something like that, that now I'm just as bad as you are. I'm the
Mhm.
one now, like, talking you into buying a lot of these vehicles. And
Yeah,
yeah,
and we now
it's,
own an orange Freelander, so I think that's about as far
I
afield as
mean,
one
that
can get.
that says a lot. That says a
Yeah,
lot about how far we're willing to go for this
it's
for the
true.
for this
It's
dumb
true.
brand. I
For
mean,
what seems like a joke. Yeah, it's we're willing to, spend some
oh
money for
yeah.
comedy. Yeah, let me
Oh
tell you,
yeah.
it's not cheap to get a essentially written off Freelander back on the road, but it's worth it.
Oh,
It's
it's
worth it.
totally worth it. I'm
It's worth
having
it.
so much fun posting the social media for it.
Just wait. We'll pick it
Yeah.
up from Ed next weekend, and it's
Yeah.
going to be a social media blitz. It's going to be
Yeah.
amazing. You just wait.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
got to
it's going
take
to
it
be a lot of
out.
fun.
We got to drive it. We
Oh
got
yeah,
to
yeah.
Oh,
If
it's going to
for
be great.
at least a few blocks
At
until
least
it
for a few
goes into
hours,
yeah.
if we're lucky.
I'm gonna get the little computer so that I can tell it to go out of limp home mode after driving it for 15 minutes. But
Mhm.
hey, it's fine. It's all right. It's too new of a car for me to work on. Much like Ike doesn't know how to drive an automatic transmission, I have absolutely no idea how to work on a car. You actually plug a little tool in that tells you what's wrong with it. That seems like that takes all the fun out of it. If I don't have to like guess and needlessly buy the wrong part, I'm not. I don't feel like I'm doing it right. So.
Okay, so we've talked a little bit about some of the cars that you have owned, and information about our collection can usually be found online. But
Mhm.
what is the one Land Rover you have never owned that you would do just about anything to get your hands on?
I mean, there's a lots of famous Land Rovers that I would love to have in the collection. I would love, to have. I mean, Darien Gap cars, and things like that. That's not really going to happen because those are obviously like famous museum cars. Something that if it came up in the right sort of thing that I've always wanted, which is sort of a weird one, but at the beginning of the Steven Spielberg film Close Encounters of the Third Kind, they drive up to the World War II planes that they find in the middle of the California desert. That's a Series 3 that they drive up in. I've always wanted that exact car. So that particular serial number would be really neat to have because obviously I work in film and television and a huge Steven Spielberg fan, a huge Close Encounters fan. And I just think that's a neat, iconic, weird car to have there. I'll one day murder Ike and steal the Steve McQueen car from him. Or
That's
actually,
appropriate.
I don't need to murder him. We'll just let nature take its course. He's going to do something and say he may be dead now. I may be able to go and pick it up. I don't have to do anything. He almost dies 3 or 4 times a year. So that's a pretty cool car. I mean, we will get a Camel Trophy 110 at some point. I think you sort of have to have that to complete. I love expedition and rally cars. So a G4 Discovery, a G4 Range Rover would be very cool. One of the earlier Trek cars would be kind of neat.
What about one
A
of the newer truck cars?
Oh well, one of the newer Trek cars might be very cool to have, and it's also orange, so it meets our color, our recent color scheme.
Hmm.
Maybe more news
Hmm.
to come on that.
Hmm.
And yeah, I mean, I think unique Land Rovers are something that I really enjoy. North American spec cars, as you know well, our collection is very North American centric. So, The Bug Eye, the Nada, the 80-inch. They're all obviously very North American cars, and were spec'd specifically for the United States. I would love some of the early Canadian cars, because I'm obviously Canadian. We're Canadian, and some of those are pretty cool, for sure. But then again, I drive a run-of-the-mill North American spec Series 3, nearly every day, and that's just a super fun car to have because it's nothing remarkable at all. It's just a
Mhm.
well cared for, and now newly carbureted, Series 3 that just runs, and I drive it and I love it. And that maybe next to the Defender, I drive that nearly every day. The Stage 1 rotates in there every once in a while. So yeah, I just I think I'm always interested in a car that has an interesting story, that has some kind of, like, again, I love expedition and rally providence, so anything that that has an interesting competition sort of slant to it is
All
definitely
right,
something that we
listeners,
like.
this is not an invitation for you to
So if
send
you have any
Steve
of these cars,
every for
send a
sale car listing of every Land Rover you can possibly find. You are
uh,
not invited to do so.
believe
I
me,
will
I
screen
already
them
get
out.
them.
I will say
I already
no.
get them, and I appreciate it. I do appreciate everyone sending Ike and I all of the different Land Rovers. Don't ever stop. We won't
Don't
always
stop. It is
buy.
funny.
Yeah, we won't buy them in for most of them, but hey, every once in a while, happy to get them. We're always interested in taking a look. I've driven many of the forward controls. I'd love it to be flatbed forward control, just because I think it'd actually be pretty handy, but I have nowhere to put it.
Nowhere to
It's
put
That's
it.
in the
We are
same
out of
category.
space. We are
Yeah,
officially out of space right now. So
one
I
of
don't know. I think we're
non Land
actually
Rover.
over capacity. When the
Oh, we're well
Freelander
over
comes
capacity.
up, we're over
Yeah, I
capacity.
don't know where we're gonna park the
No.
Freelander. God forbid we wouldn't want to damage its completely damaged paint anymore. We want to preserve that patina. So that might have to park outside. But yeah, I mean, I would consider a few non-Land Rovers. I've always wanted a Steyr Push Pinscauer, a four-wheel Pinscauer. Those are super cool. Would be really fun. As everybody knows, I want a Jimny more than anything in the world. I would take anything that I could put a little D body kit on. I would take that in a heartbeat. I was in Australia, as we said, just recently, and man, it's Jimny City over there. There's like a million little Jimny. Plus, everything is a tray back with a
I
snorkel,
know how
which I
you
just
feel about
love.
those.
Oh, I love them so much. I want one so
I know.
bad.
I
It's
know.
such a stupid little car. I want
It
it so
is.
bad.
It's
Oh,
dumb.
and in person, it's just the greatest little car in the world. I really, really want that. And
Tell
then,
us about Australia. You met somebody down
yeah,
in Australia, one of our
I
one of our
did. I
followers.
met someone, and we're running away together
Oh, I'm
because of
so
his
happy for you.
yeah, his love of the Trayback series Land Rover. I have to say, like I said, it's Trayback City over there, which I just can't get enough of. Every car has a snorkel and a Trayback on it, like literally every single car. It's amazing. It's the greatest city in the world. And there's all kinds of crazy ass El Caminos. Any car can be made into a
What?
pickup truck over there. Oh yeah,
Like
they've
like
got like
legitimate El Caminos or like El
no truck
Camino
cars.
inspired?
Yeah, truck cars, like a truck bed car. There is like 5 brands of them. This Ford, and I don't remember. I apologize. I don't know the actual model name, but this older Ford, like mid 90s car, truck back that was amazing. And then lots of people just took the back of the car away and put like a tray back there, and it's so cool. It was absolutely amazing. But yeah, no, I went to see our good buddy Jack, which is a Dabo underscore down underscore under on Instagram, as anybody who knows Land Rovers knows the old Dabo down under, and visited his relatively new workshop, not brand new, but he just moved in not that long ago, and looked at some of the projects he's working on. He's got some super cool stuff, lots of great hard dash cars.
And
He's
he
got a
restores them? Is that what he
he
does?
he does, and he does a remarkable job, all turnkey, right in his own little shop there. He paints and does
Nice.
everything in house. And he had a few cars on the go, Series 3, a couple of Series 2s, one that's getting an electronic or an electric rather drivetrain in it, and then a couple of others that are just getting the standard sort of restoration, but really high quality work. Saw his daily driver, his Series 2 daily driver, a couple of really neat, like I said, series traybacks, very super Australian,
Cool.
trayback series cars. And yeah, it was great. It was great hanging out with Jack. And yeah, happened to be in Brisbane for
So
work.
there's going to be
And so
somewhere There's gonna be someone out there somewhere that is, right now grumbling as they drive to work listening to this going, "He was here and he didn't tell us?" Somebody else from Melbourne or Brisbane is gonna be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, oh, he we I didn't even know. I
It
didn't
was
even
a
have
quick
the
trip. It was a
chance."
quick
Yeah,
trip. It
it
was
was
a
a
quick
really
trip,
quick trip.
and a lot of shooting at night, so a lot of sleeping during the day, and yeah, it was a little bit of a it was a bit of a fast pace. But on my last day of shooting, I managed to sleep a little less and pop out and see Jack in the afternoon, and that was great. It was really fun to see him, and it was fun to hang out at his shop. And yeah, he's got some cool things on the go, and more to come. He's getting a lift installed. He's working on trying to find a sort of dedicated paint facility to work out of, and yeah, doing some super nice stuff. So certainly, if you're in the Brisbane, Sunshine Coast, Gold Coast area, I think anywhere in Queensland, drop in and say hi, check out the shop, and yeah, he's booked up. He said for a while yet with projects. It's been
That's cool.
very popular, but and check out his Instagram. I mean, really great stuff. He does a lot of fun stuff on the Insta. He was in fact Instaing when I drove up, so you can actually see me driving up in the back of his one of his more recent Instagrams. So yeah, it was super fun, and yeah, great to
Well,
see him.
babe, if your film and television career never fully takes off, you could always just go into Land Rover restoration.
Yeah, that's funny because Jack and I talked about that. Like, don't let your hobby become your work. But he actually said, no, it's been great so far. That
That's good.
So the problem is I'm terrible at restoring Land Rovers. So only average at making television shows. So we'll stick with that, I guess. But speaking at average making television shows, so we are going to embark on a huge journey up to Oregon for the Overland Expo coming up here the
Pacific Northwest.
second weekend of July. So that's the
Hmm.
weekend of July. I think the show is the 7th and 8th or something like that, or the 8th or 9th. Or you'll go to their website, you'll check it out. I haven't done that, but we're gonna do a live show from there from our campsite. Don't tell the Overland Expo people though, because I don't think you're allowed to do that. And we will also have some merch there. We will have the yellow Retro 80 Defender, or I'm sorry, Series Land Rover, Series 1 Land Rover t-shirts back in stock. And we will maybe be able to sell them to you there unofficially. Don't tell the people at Overland Expo. But yeah, we'll have some merch with us. We'll have Liza and Jenna and Ike with us. We'll have a new Barris Collection car with us. I think we're going to bring the Nada Series 2. Ike will bring any number of cars with him. I'm not sure what Ike and Jenna are going to bring up. Linus might come up with one of his cars. So we'll have the whole crew there, so you can meet them in person. Maybe Linus will bring his
Campfire
banjo.
banjo? Campfire
Campfire
banjo?
banjo.
Campfire
Campfire
banjo.
banjo. That's my favorite vape flavor, coincidentally. So yeah, it's going to
And
be
apparently, if anybody listened to last week's episode, apparently I am now serving cinnamon scones campside.
well, at least you don't have to get people's names tattooed on your chest.
Well,
So
that's true.
I think
You've
it's
got the
like,
worst end of the deal
who's
there.
got? Well, I don't know. But yeah, if your Land Rover is broken, please feel free to bring it by the campsite, and
No,
Ike
don't.
will repair it for you
I
for free of charge.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
And Linus will serenade you with banjo music if he and Maddie end up coming. So yeah, come on out and meet the whole crew. We'll be posting on Instagram throughout
Yeah.
that weekend as to where we are and what we're doing. So feel free to grab those times and come over and say hello. We'd love to meet you. We've got some stickers to give you, and like I said, we'll have a cavalcade of merch that you can also purchase if you are so inclined. What a great show to be wearing a yellow Series 1 t-shirt or an Underpowered Hour Defender t-shirt at. And you can get some Tiny Ike stickers. You can put them on your vehicle, on your children, whatever you're into. Cover up those holes at your wheels with Tiny Ike stickers. Whatever.
Because you know how Ike feels about holes in wheels.
He does not like holes in wheels.
Nope.
And so, yeah, and hey, head on over to the Underpowered Hour store, underpoweredhour.com, and we are restocking this week on the Series 1 t-shirts, as well as a few stickers and things that have run out. So
That's
just
right.
the big,
And if you're in the
post-Australia
UK,
restock.
if you're in the UK, our good friends over at Retro 80, they have some stuff still in stock. They're running low on that yellow Series 1 Retro 80 shirt, but I think they should have mostly everything else. So
Yeah, Dan's got a good stock there, and also Dan's just got amazing stuff.
he does.
Don't
He
just buy
does.
one of our shirts, buy several of his because he's got the coolest stuff. Great, amazing posters. He's such a talented artist, and I need more wall space to accommodate all of the retro
It's
80
true.
artwork that I keep procuring. He's got some great stuff from Bob Ives of the Defender, and some other really cool stuff. So yeah, make sure you head over to Retro 80 if you are in the UK. Or if you're in the United States, I think he's got sizes we don't. It might be worth the shipping if you throw in some Retro 80 posters and
There you go.
other swag as well. They've
There you
got,
go.
they got some really cool stuff over there.
I think
So,
we're going to do something when we're doing our live show in Oregon. I think we're going to do something where we want listener feedback. And so I'm going to post some stuff on social media this week as we work out those details. But I think we're going to invite our listeners to send in voice memos and ask us
mhm.
questions. And we're going to do a little campfire chat while we're in Oregon using listener questions. So if you have a burning question for Ike or Steve or Linus or Jenna or maybe myself, I think people should send us their voice memos. You can send them to us through Instagram, through Facebook. You can email us at underpoweredhour@gmail.com. Keep them short and sweet, like 15 to 30 seconds is an ideal little soundbite. But think about it like leaving us a little question in a voicemail, and send us your questions, your burning thoughts and desires that you would like Ike and Steve to talk about.
No question too personal, no question too intimate. Happy to help you in any regard. With that, thanks as always for listening. And again, if you'd like to help support the show, head on over to Patreon. We've got all kinds of good stuff. We're going to be doing some exclusive stuff at the old Overland Expo just for our patrons. And head on over to Overland_her to see what's happening with Team Underpowered Hour in the big Rebelle Rally, Team 155, and head on over to our Instagram as we're gaining followers like it's our job over there. So thank you for that. We appreciate it. That's all, Liza. And with that, we will talk to you soon, Liza. Have good training weeks, and
Thanks.
we'll hopefully see all of you in Oregon at Overland Expo. All thousands of people who listen to the show, please join us at Overland Expo. From the 25% of people that listen to us from the UK, come on over. And we are going to try. Ike and I have said we are going to try to get to the September show in I think the Peterborough show in the UK if we can. So we will do a similar sort of thing over there. So fret not, friends in the United Kingdom, and sorry, Australians, that I only got to see Jack. And maybe some of you saw me driving and didn't even know it because I was driving a weird RAV4. But it didn't have a tray back. So I tried to get a tray back car, but they said I can't run one.
We might have to send you on another field trip next year. We're gaining a lot of followers in the Emirates.
Oh, well, hey,
Ooh.
funny, my our Land Rover, our stage 1 is a what they used to call an Arabian Peninsula spec stage 1.
Oh,
It has
really?
the high octane carbs in it.
I had no
It's to
idea.
specifically run on the higher octane fuel in the hotter climate on the
Interesting.
Arabian Peninsula. So we have so that's where the stage 1 came from. So it would be fun to go back to its
There
place of
are
birth.
some rallies in Dubai. Maybe we should send you guys to.
I'm willing to rally anything in Dubai. One of those ones where you take the like Lamborghinis and you just sort of smash them into curbs and thing. Whatever. I'm happy to do whatever.
All right,
Yep.
you were trying to end the episode and then I totally deterred us. So
Here we go. We're ending the episode. This is it. It's been a slice, and we'll talk to
thanks
you
for
very
having
soon.
me.